Hi everyone, this is Counting Thoughts and I'm Yasha, and maybe you've noticed by now that Anmol is not here. This is because life has happened and I did not want to give the podcast any more breaks than it already has gotten. After coming back from Korea, I sort of felt like I was in a slump. I was doing stuff, but I didn't feel that there is efficacy to the work that I was doing. I reread an article that I had probably read like a long time ago, and I realized that it had not stuck inside my head, which it should have. But then I realized that this has happened a lot. A lot of reels that we watch, a lot of content that we consume, we're consuming it at a very basic level and we're not really using it anywhere. Which got me thinking that when the pandemic had started, there were a lot of emphasis laid on online courses or online classes or maybe upgrading your skill set. So, a lot of course material was rolled out. I also took classes. So that got me to thinking that learning in itself is a process, and majorly it has three categories, and this is what we're going to talk about today. These are my notes. For audio people, for video people, you can see. All right. Phase 1 or step 1 would be where you acquire knowledge. Step 2 would be where you put that knowledge to practice. And step 3 would be where you keep on practicing to the point where you become a master. This learning process can be applied to theoretical learning, learning of soft skills, and it could be applied to physical learning as well. The problem that has led to this episode is social media, internet has made phase 1 very, very easy. Acquisition of any sort of knowledge has become easy. But then there is phase 2. Phase 2 is where you practice. Phase 2 is where you bridge the gap between knowledge and being able to utilize that knowledge. Why phase 2 is necessary is because getting knowledge is not the problem. The problem is that how confident are you about that knowledge, and that confidence will not come unless and until you've practiced that knowledge, right? When you practice, you overcome that bloody fear of failure, that self-doubt, and once you overcome that, you get a certain kind of confidence in the knowledge that you have acquired in phase 1. Now, if you don't practice, what happens is your skill remains underdeveloped, be it a physical skill, like trying to learn how to play basketball, or trying to learn how to code, or trying to learn a new language, trying to learn how to paint, anything. Your skill will remain underdeveloped unless and until you're practicing. Nobody is born a master at it. You move your way to it, which brings me to phase 3. Now phase 3 is there's an actual study that says you need to put 10,000 hours of practice to be a master at a certain skill. But the problem is that we don't all want to be the masters at a certain skill, and we refuse to acknowledge this simple fact. There is a awesome TED talk that I had listened to like a long while ago, and I still listen to it every time I'm trying to learn a new skill, because what happens is when I'm trying to learn a new skill, I tend to procrastinate, and I procrastinate by doing something that would qualify as work, not work that I should be doing, work that I'm doing to avoid the actual work that I should be doing. Why I'm talking about this is we're all stuck in this research phase wherein you don't know about things well enough to use them in your life. You're not confident enough about the things that you know because you haven't put them into practice. So this has led you to be you and I both. to be stuck in phase one, where we feel like we're doing things and we feel like we're gaining knowledge, and this is something positive. That is a positive change that is happening, but nothing good in the long term, at least, is coming out of this passive learning that we are stuck in. We're actually avoiding to do the work that we want to do. Comfort of phase one is making you avoid to do the hard work that comes with phase two. But because you're avoiding the hard work that comes with phase two, you are increasing the gap between knowledge and action. Our abilities are deteriorating and this gap is widening. Now, I've told you the problem that we all are facing, at least I am. So, I will also help you to avoid remaining stuck in phase one. You start small. It could be a physical skill, it could be a mental skill, any skill that you want to learn. If you want to be a master at it, you will probably need to invest 10,000 hours at it. But then maybe you don't want to be a master at it. Maybe you want to be somebody like me who wants to learn a lot of things. If you take me for example, I start small by telling myself ki 10,000 hours is what you need to become a master, but I'm not aiming to be a master, so that's out of the window. Coming to 20 hours. Now 20 hours is not that much. If I give 1 hour every day, 20 hours will be 20 days. Now, since we know the maths, we can build a strategy around it. Okay, say suppose now you decide to give half an hour to the skill that you want to learn. Like me, you want to learn a new language. You have half an hour. So you try to build your vocabulary first. Now you say I don't have like half an hour at a stretch. 15 minutes at the start of the day. Maybe you can revise what you learned the previous day. 15 minutes at the end of the day, or you could learn new words, or vice versa. Two would be building a strategy. Now you build an action plan to follow up with that strategy, sticking to the learning of vocabulary. Now, when I look at a pen, I will think of what is this called in Korean, what is a book called in Korean, what is whatever I've learned, whatever I have already learned, I will try to substitute that with my default language in which I think, which is Hindi and English. Now that is my strategy to polish my skill outside of the allotted time that I already have. I'm taking Korean as an example because I'm trying to learn Korean. You could probably be trying to learn English. Build a conducive environment so that you can act on the strategy that you've built. I believe that is also a very crucial part of having an action plan. Our ability to make decisions depletes by the energy in our body. So when you wake up in the morning, you're not very high on energy. You're not making the decisions that are going to benefit you in the long run. You're just making decisions that are going to make you feel comfortable in that moment. So maybe build an environment that will help you take actions toward the strategy that you've made. And the final thing is commit to the work that you want to do. So there are various ways. A lot of people say this, that if they record themselves while they're working, they sit and work. Yeah, so revising, you start small, you build a strategy, you build an action plan. Building a strategy and building an action plan is something that will overlap with each other, but then I sort of separated it for the ease of remembering. And then you commit to the work that you're doing. And I think commitment to work is going to be easier if you already have like a strategy in place and if you already have an action plan in mind. I think one thing that helps me actually commit to what I'm doing is when I attach some sort of emotion to it, like why I want to do it. Now, say suppose you know yourself better, maybe you work better when you attach financial incentives. Maybe you work better if you attach materialistic incentives. Whatever your goals are, not just learning, whatever you're trying to commit yourself to, if you sort of attach an incentive, and that incentive could look like anything
tangible or an intangible incentive, your commitment to the skill that you're trying to develop in this case will increase. As soon as you include an incentive in the equation, that hard work that is required to, you know, get to a goal, or that hard work that is required to commit to learning a new thing, does not feel like hard work anymore. It Your mentality switches from, oh shit, I have to do this, I will get to do this if I do this, from I have to, it will switch to I get to, which I think is a very minuscule change if you hear it, but I think it's a very huge change when it translates into action. So that's me. I hope that you are able to learn a little bit more about the learning process. And yeah, stay tuned. Probably next episode you will see both of us. Bye, and let us know how you liked it.